If you're honestly asking yourself how to start enjoying life again, it means you finally hit that wall where you're tired of just surviving. You don't wake up one day completely miserable. It happens slowly over months or years of trying to run on autopilot. You realize you've been executing a script, going to the gym, doing your job, paying the bills, hanging out with your friends, but your taste buds for life have gone completely and utterly dead. You're just waiting for the day to end so you can go to sleep. Just to wake up and do the exact same thing tomorrow. It's heavy, gray fog where nothing is necessarily a massive tragedy, but nothing feels good either. You're entirely numb, and the hardest part is that you feel guilty for it because on paper your life might look completely fine. The biggest trap we fall into when we're trying to fix this is trying to outrun the numbness with performance. We buy things we think we're supposed to want, or we book a massive weekend trip because we tell ourselves that a change of scenery is the magic reset button. I remember spending a fortune on a vacation a couple of years ago, sitting on this perfect beach with a drink in my hand and realizing I felt the exact same hollow, exhausted knot in my chest that I felt at my desk. You can't buy your way out of burnout, and you can't force yourself to have fun just because the calendar says you're on vacation. Enjoying life again doesn't start with adding more things to your plate. It starts by stripping away the performances and admitting that the things you've been doing to satisfy everyone else aren't working for you anymore. To get that spark back, you have to lower the bar for what enjoyment actually means. When you're deeply burnt out, you think you need some massive life-altering epiphany to hap- start to feel happy again. But real sustainable joy is usually incredibly quiet. It's what I call the quiet kitchen test. It's sitting there at 6 a.m. before the world wakes up, actually tasting your coffee and making a conscious choice not to look at your phone to see who yelled at you via email overnight. It's pulling over on the side of a back road just because the sunset looks ridiculous, and standing by your car for 3 minutes without taking a picture of it to prove to people on social media that you were there. You have to actively retrain your brain to notice when things don't suck. Because when you've been in a dark place for a long time, your nervous system gets terrifyingly good at only scanning for threats, stress, and obligations. You also have to get comfortable being the bad guy and clearing out the space to actually breathe. You can't pour anything fresh into a cup that's already overflowing with radioactive waste. Enjoying your life again requires you to aggressively protect your time and energy from the things that drain you. That means saying no to the happy hour with coworkers you don't even like, or refusing to take on that extra project just to prove a point to a boss who doesn't even care. I remember the first time I just stayed home on a Friday night, turned off my phone, and ordered a pizza without letting myself feel guilty about what I should be doing. I felt like a It felt like a crime at first, but it was the first time my brain actually relaxed in a year. You have to create vacuum of empty, unproductive time before anything genuinely good can fill it back up. The final piece of it is finding something entirely stupid to do, where the stakes are absolutely zero. As adults, we ruin everything by trying to do to a metric. If we run, we track our pace on an app. If we read, we track our yearly book count. If we pick up a hobby, we instantly try to find a way to monetize it or to make it cool. It completely kills the joy of creation. Go find something you are absolutely terrible at and do it just for the hell of it. Go buy a cheap skateboard or try to learn how to cook a ridiculously complicated meal or just drive down a road you've never been down before with the music turned up too loud. You don't think your way into a happy life. You live your way into it through action. It's not going to happen overnight, and you'll have days where the fog rolls back in. That's fine. The goal isn't to be happy 24 hours a day, it's just to let the light back in through the cracks until you remember who you actually are. You often have to go backward before you can go forward. When you're trying to find that spark again, think about what you used to do when you were 16, back before you cared about a career, a mortgage, or what looked impressive on a resume. Maybe it was just listening to a specific album all the way through with the headphones on in the dark, shooting hoops at a local park until the streetlights came on, or reading weird sci fi novels until your eyes burned. You dropped those things because life got serious and you thought you overgrew them. But those unoptimized, deeply uncool interests were the exact things keeping you grounded. Reclaiming that stuff isn't being childish. It's checking yourself back into your own life and forgiving yourself for the years you spent neglecting the version of that you actually were. You also have to look closely at who you're surrounding yourself with because numbness and cynicism are incredibly contagious. If your social circle spend every weekend trauma dumping about their jobs, complaining about their partners, and competing over who is the most burned out, you're never going to break that cycle. You start to subconsciously believe that misery is just the tax you pay for being an adult. Breaking out of that means shaking up your environment even in tiny disruptive ways. Take a completely different route home from work, sit at a different table, or text that one friend who always seems to have genuine positive energy, the one you haven't seen in 6 months because you told yourself you didn't have the bandwidth. Vitality doesn't just drop out of the sky. You have to actively put yourself in places where a spark is actually allowed to catch. Ultimately, the biggest breakthrough happens when you stop treating your life like a problem that needs to be solved. You aren't a broken machine that needs to be optimized, re engineered, and strictly managed so you can maximize your daily happiness output. You're just a guy who got exhausted from carrying too much heavy, invisible weight for way too long. Give yourself permission to let the transition be slow and messy without checking your progress in the mirror every morning. You're going to have days where the gray fog rolls back in and just want to stare at the ceiling. And that's part of the process. But one day you'll catch yourself genuinely laughing at something stupid or feeling a random sudden wave of excitement about a weekend plan. And you'll realize the light didn't come back because of a miracle. It came back because you finally stopped fighting your own life and it just decided to start showing up for it.